So I'm sitting here this morning reading comments. I got this one here this morning from Patricia Sir. She says, "Why are you living in Palm Springs if you want to be frugal? Everything is high priced compared to where I live in the Midwest. Gas is $2.64. Insurance is cheaper. You have earthquakes and fires, etc. We have tornadoes, but you get plenty of advance notice." Yeah, that's a good question, Patricia. And I guess the simple answer is that I've spent my entire life living here in California. I love California. It's one of the most beautiful states in the country, one of the most beautiful areas in the world. You know, we have the beach, we have the mountains. Anywhere you are, you can get to the beach or mountains within a couple of hours or less. We have Hollywood and Disneyland and San Francisco and San Diego. San Diego and San Francisco are probably two of the most beautiful cities in the entire world. So it's just a really, really nice place to live. I mean, you know, like everywhere else, it has its pros and cons. And the biggest con is just it's extremely expensive to live here. Because we can afford it, that's probably why we still live here. We could definitely cut our expenses probably in half by moving, maybe even more, by moving to the Midwest or to the South. And it's nice to know we have that option if we ever get to the point where we can afford to live here, or we just don't want to spend twice as much as we have to, twice as much as you are, twice as much as everybody else is, then yeah, we can move. But I'm 71 years old, so at this point in my life, I only have a limited amount of time left to live anyway, so I think my money will last here in California, so this is probably where we're going to stay. But I totally get that question. And, you know, there was something I looked up the other day, and I was really, really shocked to find that when you look in the U.S., the United States, where most retirees live, guess where they all live? The majority of all retirees in the U.S. live in California. Is that bizarre? I mean, that just kind of blew my mind. So it's not like we're alone living here in California. And I think there's a lot of reasons besides the ones I just mentioned. There's so much to do entertainment-wise, and there's a ton of jobs. So if you're a retiree, and even though it's very expensive here, a lot of retirees do continue to work. They might have retirement jobs. Well, there's a lot more jobs here for retirees if you do want to go back to work or have a part-time job after you retire. So I have a feeling that's probably one reason. I think another reason is that a lot of people who are retired here are like us. We bought our house, 20 years ago. And so when it was a lot cheaper to buy a house here, now it's just ridiculous. And so I think a lot of retirees bought their homes, maybe paid them off years ago, and so it's a lot more affordable for retirees who maybe have no debts to stay in California. Whereas if you're just trying to work and make a living and trying to buy a house now, it's just so outrageously expensive. And that's why so many people are moving out of California. Many are moving to Las Vegas, to Arizona, and I think probably the biggest group of Californians are moving to Texas. I think Texas is probably the cheapest of all of those three states that I just mentioned. I mean, I guess it varies depending on what you're comparing it to, but home prices and just overall. So, yeah, we could save a lot of money if we moved to Arkansas. Not only did I have relatives who lived there, and they all moved, except for the few that stayed there. They all moved to California. If they had stayed in Arkansas, I'd still be in Arkansas, spending a lot less than I spend today, and probably able to save a lot more. On the other hand, the wages are probably lower, the jobs probably pay a lot less. So, it all kind of balances out sometimes. So it just depends. But you can save a lot of money by moving to a cheaper state. And there are some very, very affordable states here in the U.S. and outside the U.S. I know a lot of you are watching from other countries, and there are other countries that are even cheaper than the U.S. Well, way cheaper than the U.S. My brother, as many of you met when he was here, and the videos we did, he lives in Thailand, and it's dirt cheap compared to California and the U.S. He's really, really saving a lot, and he's probably spending a third to a quarter of what we're spending to retire in Thailand. But he also has to deal with the unbelievably hot, humid weather there, which I couldn't take. I like Palm Springs. I like the heat as long as it's dry heat. I just can't take the humidity. But he doesn't mind it. So for him, it's perfect. He loves the humidity. And he loves that island vibe that they have there, the kind of tropical island vibe, which, was beautiful. I just can't take the humidity. The other day I was checking my Gas Buddy app to find the lowest price gas here in the Palm Springs desert area, and it turned out to be Sam's Club, which was $3.62 a gallon for regular. I think the average price in California itself is around $4.50 a gallon, making it, I believe, the highest price gas in the US here in the middle of August 2025. Then I started wondering where the cheapest gas prices were in the country. So I Googled it, and it turns out that Arkansas had the cheapest gas prices. And the cheapest gas in Arkansas is $2.45. So that's $1.17 less per gallon in Arkansas compared to here in Palm Springs, in the Palm Springs desert area. So the funny thing is, about an hour after looking that up, I was reading and answering comments on my phone here, and this one popped up, and I thought, wow, that's kind of funny timing. So this comment is from Audie Lowe, who says, I moved out of California to Ozark Mountains in Arkansas. Way better lifestyle and huge savings with my California government pension. So how do your prices compare to the prices I just mentioned? The prices either in Arkansas where it's extremely affordable, or the prices here in California where it's extremely unaffordable. I mean, these are kind of two extremes. Are you living in one of these extreme cities or states or areas where prices are either really low or really high? Or are you somewhere in the middle? Share with us in the comments. It would be really interesting to know, to find out. I always love comparing what others are paying in retirement, depending on where they're living, either here in the US or in another country. It is really interesting when you think about it, how where you live impacts your expenses dramatically. And sometimes I think some retirees are not really aware that they actually could move. I mean, if they're able to move to a much more affordable place. So anyway, I just thought that was interesting. I thought you might too. So thanks for joining me once again today, and I hope to see you all in the next video.